Thank you for all of my colleagues here in South Africa. I appreciate your time coming in this very hard weather just to listen to a witness from Gaza, because we are not a journalist, we are also witnesses, and we are a part of the story. Always the journalist, he covered the story, but in Gaza we became a part of the story. So about how I'm doing, or we are doing, alhamdulillah, we always saying alhamdulillah, we're doing well, but not like when we was in the field, because uh, when you lift your camera down and you turn it off and you just became like a public watching the genocide against your people still happening there, and you are sitting here like under a ceiling, you have electric, you have clean water, you have a warm bed. It's make you feel you cheating your people. It's make you feel like you are guilty, because you left them and you escape with your body there. Always the people, they called me a survivor from the genocide, but I always like explain to them, maybe I survived with my body. Yes, I didn't get like a hard injured. I get a small injured in my hand, yes, of course, but I'm still on my feet. But we didn't survive with our souls. Like we dying every day, like when we watching our families. My family is still there, my colleagues, my neighbors, my relative, the people, all the people, the 2 million people there. I know most of them because we living in a small area, and it's killing you when you're watching them and you cannot do anything real. You cannot take an action, a real action to them. And that's the reason it's pushing me to go direct when October 7 in that morning when I saw the news. So I decided immediately, without thinking a lot, that I should be there. I need to be there because I'm a journalist. I need to deliver my people stories, and my country, they need me now, because they didn't allow to the international media to went to Gaza from the beginning of the war, and this is a part of hiding the truth. I'm sure, like all of you, you wishing like to come to Gaza. Maybe like a lot of you, they tried like to contact with the Israeli government to get a permission to enter there, or through Egyptian, but for sure they didn't allow, because Israel, they want like to do the crimes and without exposing, without the people, they don't want to people to show their crimes on the ground, and that's make us like a double load for like the Palestinian journalist. So we became like working like 24 hours per day. We didn't sleep, like totally we didn't sleep at that days, because the massacres, it's happening from morning until night. There is like not specific time for attacking, for targeting. And we're talking about like the hard life that the journalist, it's lived from. Like he didn't have a house to sleep in, he didn't have an office to work from it. He working in the winter and in the summer under the cold and under the sun from the streets. He didn't get a bathroom actually to use it. So it's make like a lot of issue for the health. And this is also, it can be affected for our job, for our mission, for our capacity. We cannot work well if we didn't sleep well, if we didn't eat well. So we lost like all of the energy. But at that time we don't have a luxury of a choice, because if we turn off our camera, if like any massacre happened and I didn't go there, I didn't document it, so I cheat my job, I cheat the journalism, and I cheat the people there, because they are not numbers. Each crime, it should be documented. Each crime, each life, it should be they are names, they are lives. So we should cover it, we should document it. So you don't have a choice like just to sit up and look at what's happening around you like a public people. We are talking about the risks also. Since when on my way to Gaza, I always like thinking, it came to my mind, maybe I'm gonna lose my life, maybe I'm gonna get injured, maybe gonna arrest there, or like I lose my house, my family, maybe I stuck there. So all of this risk, it came to my mind because we are human before we are a journalist. But did this risk like make me return to the comfortable zone? Did it like stop me for what I'm planning to do? No, it didn't. Why? Because if we thinking about this risk and we take a step back, no one in the world will see the truth. No one will take against like the genocide. No one like move. We will not get a solidarity and supporting for Palestine because they didn't. And if we didn't do this, it's became like a silence, and a silence is a part of the crimes also. Always I'm thinking about the people who are working in the journalism until now, and they're working in like some international newspaper, and they are scared or they are worried about like talking about Palestine, about talking about what's happening there, about called what's happening there as a genocide, because it is a genocide. More than 55,000 people killed there. If it's not a genocide, so what is this? What is the real genocide? So these people, I don't know, like, uh, why they are still like silent. If they are like a real journalism, they need like to talk about what's happening there. They need like to talk about the truth there. They need to take the truth from the owner of the land, from like the journalist on the ground, not from like the media that launched by like Western, by the Zionism, by like the US, that feed the people their stories, their perspective, that tell them the Palestinians they are terrorists. The hospital, it's they use it as a military. No, you can see the truth. You can't call like the people on the ground. There's a lot of international doctor. They visit them. You can interview them. You can ask them about this. So, yeah, this is like something that we have an issues now between like about talking about Palestine. Like we need to rethink each one who's believed he's a human. He's believed like of a freedom of speech, of freedom of the journalism. He should speak about Palestine. He don't need like to worry. The people there, the journalism there, they don't worry about their lives. Are you worried about like hundreds pockets of money, or like about like your position in your channel? No, there is like more people that they risking their lives in the front lines. So we need to remember these people. Like 250 of journalism, they are killed. They are killed, they are targeted, and they are their colleagues. If you're working in like international news, there are a lot of international correspondent, a lot of international cameramen, they killed there. So they are your colleagues. So we need to talk about them. We need like to tell their stories.
Thank you very much. And my question was simple because I think, for you to be here and to be able to share your story with us is so powerful. And I'll have a follow-up question. What can we do to build more solidarity, to support journalists in Gaza?
First of all, you shouldn't wait until this moment to let like Bilal tell you like what we should do. We should like thinking from the beginning of this genocide. We don't need like to wait until like 300 or 400 like of people killing. So it's really very important. It's really like matter like the life of people there. We need like to do all of the campaigns, all of pushing against like the targeting of journalism in Gaza. We need like to raise a special case on the international court for the journalism with their stories. Like I have my close friend, I lost like a lot of my close friends, Hamza Dahdu, Samer Abu Dagga, and more of my colleagues. We was using to sleep like in the same tent, to work together, to cover together. And one day like I lost them. Why? Because they covering the truth. So I really like, I would love to see like a real action on the ground for the Palestinian journalists. I really like would love to say like maybe like a funding or organization, like just to fund the journalists there, like with the protection equipments. The people there, they don't have a vest, they don't have a helmet. Even if it's like the occupation didn't care about this, but sometimes it's protect their lives. The people there, they also the journalists, they have a families there, and they cannot feed them. Why? Because they don't have actually the life. It's became very expensive under the siege, and the life it's became like very hard to them. And that's uh, he he risking on his life. So we need like to support him. We need like to prepare to bring like equipments. We need like to also be their voices. Like they are cannot, they don't have a good relations like us here. They don't have a time also to connect to the world. So each journalist, he need like to be a messenger from the journalists in Gaza. Also, we need like to talk about the people who was killed in Gaza. So each journalist, he can share like just one story. Like it's not very hard if you choose a one Palestinian journalist and you can talk to him in your social media platform, or you write an article about him in your newspaper, or you make a documentary about this love. So there is a lot of things to do, but we don't want just to wait to someone to tell us what we should do, or like what is like we can do for the journalist.
I think it's changed journalism and the way we approach it in a number of ways. I think it's turned on its head the idea of balance. I think fundamentally in terms of how we approach our storytelling and how we've thought that balance is constructed. That is very different at this point when you look at massive injustice. Do you approach balance in the way that you have traditionally, or have we had to reconsider how that's done because of what is coming out of Gaza? And also linked to that, the limited access to Gaza, none at all for anyone outside of it. Because there's such censorship, and there's limitations in accessing Gaza, we are relying on a small pool of journalists to be our eyes and ears. And if anything, they should be protected in a way that we've not seen before. But what we have seen, especially coming from the West, is almost a hierarchy in terms of which journalists matter and which don't. We've seen ready condemnations of attacks on journalists when it comes to perhaps Russia or China, and you don't see that as readily in this scenario, in this genocide, and greater questions around why journalists, and we've only seen that just recently with this letter being signed and a push for access. It was a very long time coming. There was a reluctance because of perhaps individual media houses. So I've mentioned access, protection of journalists, which certainly hasn't been enough. One other thing I think that has changed is our questions and how we deal with accountability. And I think this is key. It's 2025 and we're seeing a genocide. Up to this point, everything we've experienced in this world and these words around never again, how far has that brought us? Because accountability, I think, is limited. And accountability is also defined by the powers that be, and when and how people should be held accountable, and it's convenient. And one of the other things I think that journalism has to tackle, or perhaps how journalism has been affected because of the genocide, is what do we do to protect journalists? What do we do to ensure that storytelling is not impacted in a way where people are censored? Because this is easily done in an environment like Gaza, where they're terrorized, they're harassed, and this predates 7th of October. That, I think, is something very important to recognize, because politics perhaps has pushed censorship in newsrooms, but we have to remember that the gagging of journalists can't happen at any time. An attack on a journalist in Gaza is an attack on the profession globally. And I think we increasingly have to see, accept, and challenge that.
Do you think there's enough challenging happening?
I think that there is a censorship that perhaps isn't challenged adequately. I do have the luxury and privilege of working for a network that I believe is on the right side of history, that has done a phenomenal job in terms of its coverage. Its access, because of those kind of connections that it has in Gaza, that it's always maintained that position. It hasn't had to re-establish or start from scratch when it comes to covering the genocide. It's always had an eye on these type of injustices, on this story. And I can proudly say as a journalist that I'm attached to a broadcaster that I believe is doing the right thing. I personally haven't had the difficulty of having to reconsider my position, quit my job. And that's what some journalists have had to face, because the editorial line where they are is just wholly unfair. I am privileged, I do believe. And I think that a lot of people don't have the luxury and the opportunity to challenge, because it also comes down to bread and butter sometimes for people. It's you stand up for injustice, you stand up against injustice, you stand up from a principled point of view. Does everybody have that luxury? So I think, do we take this question to the people who make the decisions, or does the journalist fall on their sword to do the right thing?
First of all, it's a real honor to be on the stage with Belal as a human being and as a witness and as a journalist. Thank you very, very much. So I'm also going to come from that position, but from the ethnicity of the perpetrator. I was an indoctrinated young Zionist. I went to Jewish day school in this country. It was a joke 3 years ago, it's no longer, but I used to say I left school a young fascist. I did. I went to spend a year in Israel in 1992, and I did 3 months basic training in the IDF with an eye towards joining the paratroopers, and I wanted to. And my father, God bless him, said, over my dead body, you're going to come back and you're going to go to Wits University, which I did. And that was in 93. When South Africa was going through its own, it's the year the country was burning. And I fell in with a crowd in my political science class who were members of the ANC Youth League. And they pointed out to me, they said, why are you hanging out with us? What's the difference between the ANC and the PLO? And it struck me that. And I spent the next 3-4 years grappling with that, and then didn't engage with the story, put it on the back burner. I kind of knew what was coming. Because then once you start engaging with Edward Said and stories of the history of the PLO, and you started to get it from the other side, and you lift above the Zionist indoctrination, and I do believe now with Gabo Mate that Zionism will be looked upon as the greatest disaster in Jewish history. That the Holocaust was weaponized. It is weaponized, yes, in Jewish indoctrination. And this is what we're witnessing now. And so the only way I could come at this after the 7th of October was in the first person. And Branko and Branko was still the editor of Daily Maverick at the time and had that discussion. Because let's do this from the first person. And over the series, I think I've written 15 long form pieces since then. A lot of them in the first person because the stakes are so high. And I've a very close family in Israel who deny the genocide. And I'm an anti-Semite. I'm a self-hating Jew. As far as they're concerned, and as far as the majority in this country are concerned, the South African Zionist Federation does claim to speak for most Jews, and they're very loud. And the more this carries on, the less in touch with reality they are. They're going to keep on denying this. I personally believe, and I hope, that there's a proper ceasefire coming soon. And then I think the real reckoning is going to start. I think then the job then is going to be for the world's journalists, led by you, to go in there and to see all the crimes that have been covered up, all of that, and to document that. And Israel doesn't want that. I was speaking to Ari Goldberg today. He's one of the big international Jewish anti-Zionist voices. And he was there right through the bombing. He won't leave. And he's confirming what we know. The entire society is denying this. They're denying it. And the only way forward is if there's a reckoning, and that's what the journalism has to do now. And, we're not the ones being slaughtered. But it's almost the position of sharing blood with the perpetrators is you talk about the guilt in that. I can't even believe I'm saying this. It's unbelievable to me that this people that I am part of, that's spoke about never again, they take you to the Holocaust Museum. You see, it's one of the first things you see. You don't know that you're being traumatized because those images, the very next thing, let's talk about the IDF. We're not those Jews anymore. We're not those Jews that are being slaughtered. We're not those Jews from the ghetto. Well, what are we? Well, we're not even human beings anymore. And what does journalism do if it doesn't do that? So the hate is relentless from people I've known my entire life, and it's getting much worse. But the way to deal with it is head on, is to name it, to name them, the South African Zionist Federation, the board of deputies, the chief rabbi. Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie, and a murderous lie. And not in this country. Not in this country. We got to the other side in this country. This is why it's so beautiful. We took it to the ICJ. This is why. And we know what a one-state solution is. And this is why we were targeted by Donald Trump. This is why the lie of the white genocide. Yeah. This is why Doc is doing what he's doing. This is the blessing of tonight. So again, I'm very humbled. And man, thank you so much.
I want to thank you very much for your words, your powerful words, and your courage, to say this in this time. That's a lot of people who are scared, to say the truth or to be on the right side. I was thinking about the last question you asked me of what we can do as a journalist. I always thinking, and especially when I came here to Africa, to South Africa, the idea became to be more close to be real, because I'm here of the country of Mandela, and he said South Africa, it will not be free until Palestine will be free. And for us as a journalism, I think we should go like as a like a it will not be a protest, but we need to go to the border. We need to go to Rafah border, to the side, to the gate of Gaza, and we did our work from there. Each one he will be like correspondent. He will deliver the news from like the border there, and he will tell the news. He will tell to the whole world through like your channels that the occupation didn't allow to the journalism to enter to Gaza to cover the truth. So we need to make it as a pushing on them, like for protecting the journalism, open the border, getting the aids, because our voices as a journalist, it's the highest voice we can reach to the world. It can make like a very push on the government. So let's prepare this, and let's make a call for the international journalists on the whole of the world. And it should be started from here, from like the country of Mandela, to make like a freedom of journalism, and start of like maybe we can be the reason like to enter one truck of the aid. It's gonna save like the life of a lot of people there if we do like a small change. What if we like push more and more and do like a big change through like this protest? So I think we can start like to think real about this idea, for my opinion. And it's gonna be a real action, because if we still like here to talking in a conference, doing exhibition, writing an article, it's effect of course, but it's not like a real action.